eternal life is our destination. That's what hope is. We need to walk this Jubilee together and not isolated.
So Father, here in this incredible city in Rome, next year we're expecting like millions of pilgrims to come. Pope Francis called the Jubilee, the motto for the Jubilee, Pilgrims of Hope. Could you explain me a little bit what does pilgrims even mean? I mean, it's an old word, no?
Yeah, I think every 25 years is a Jubilee year. I think just recently in 2016 there was an extraordinary Jubilee year of mercy. But when I think about pilgrimage, pilgrims, I think about the Second Vatican Council in that the documents presented the church as a pilgrim church, a church that walks through time. And going back to the book of Exodus, think about going from the land of bondage, the land of slavery, to the promised land. So there's this passage of us being, somewhat enslaved.
Yeah.
Maybe enslaved to self, enslaved to sin, enslaved to the world. Yeah. But to a passageway to maybe even a land of promise.
But Father, would you consider yourself a pilgrim? Like, are you somebody who's doing pilgrimages?
Well, I definitely did not think about this growing up, but I think in the Christian life, we should look at life as a pilgrimage.
Why? Why? What does that mean?
Well, I think that eternal life.
Yeah.
Eternal life is our destination.
Yeah.
Eternal life is our hope. That's what God has promised us. But we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We are not there. This is not eternal life.
Yeah.
So this land that we're in, wherever we are on the face of the earth, we are pilgrims. We're walking through this land, this valley of tears, as we say in the Hail, Holy Queen.
Yeah, because pilgrimages are sometimes difficult as well, no?
I mean, it's
a long way usually.
There's all kinds of different pit stops, if you will.
Yeah.
In a pilgrimage. And I always like to think that, I think when we think about a pilgrimage, some people think that my pilgrimage begins when I start packing, right? I start packing my bags and I get on the plane, come over to Rome, and even when I get to Rome, this is when my pilgrimage begins. No, I think for this pilgrimage of hope, this Jubilee of hope, I think that when somebody decides that I'm gonna go to Rome, or maybe somebody presented with you the opportunity of coming to Rome, that's when it begins. Even before that.
But do you need to prepare, like, also that some hardship? When I was 18, I did a long pilgrimage. I went 600 miles, I walked 600 miles to Santiago de Compostela, and it was a huge adventure for me, and it was terrible. I mean, it was like after 3 days, I was in tears, wanted to go back home, just because I had way too much baggage in my backpack, and I mean literally, like there was too much stuff that I brought along, because you want to have security and so on. So,
well, isn't that an image of our life? Don't we have too much baggage?
Well, I've got too much.
Don't we carry around, and all of us?
How do we get rid of the baggage?
Every single one of us. I think a pilgrimage is a good way to start.
Okay. Okay.
The whole Christian life is about encountering the face of Jesus and the face of mercy. And I think that when people come to Rome, I think that they should begin the day with prayer. I mean, why not go to Mass?
Why not?
Why not, when we come to Rome, and we're seeing all these beautiful monuments, beautiful history throughout Rome, why not pray?
Yeah.
Why not sometime within your day? I would suggest in the morning.
Yeah.
Why not in the morning go to Mass? Why not go to St. Peter's Basilica, pray the Rosary, and just going?
I think that's so important, because what I learned at this pilgrimage that I undertook is also, like a priest told me before, well, you'll have to get poor to reach the end point. I said, what do you mean? Like, I have my Visa card, I have my even back then, a cell phone, and so I'm, poor, yes, but what does that even mean? And I had to get very poor to get to the end point, in a spiritual sense also, really accepting I can't do it alone.
And that's a good point. I think that so many people think that they are alone in our world today, especially coming out of the pandemic. I think a lot of people felt a sense of isolation and being alone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think a lot of people started to reach out, toward the beginning of, like the middle of the pandemic, toward the end of the pandemic, you had a lot of people reaching out for help.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this alone.
Yeah.
I can't.
Did you have a lot of conversations like this as a priest as well?
Yeah. I can't be isolated anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, exactly. We're not meant to walk through this Christian life alone.
And the
We
pilgrimage.
can't. The pilgrimage is not about being alone.
Exactly.
I mean, surely some people can come to Rome, and I'm sure they do, one person at a time. But just think about, even if one person comes on pilgrimage to Rome by themselves, think about how many people that they meet along the way.
Yeah.
How many connections that they meet with different people at Mass, in the confessional, but just even having a coffee at a coffee bar.
It's also an experience of the community that the church is, no? The family that we all are.
I mean, with being involved with EWTN all these years, I can walk on the streets sometimes on one of these back alleys on the Borgo even. And one time I had the experience of one lady coming out, I was walking with one of our employees, and someone recognized me from TV. I mean, I'm in Rome. I'm all the way across the pond, so to speak, and someone recognizes me from EWTN. It shows you that what Mother Angelica built with EWTN, when she said family, she really meant it.
How can we help out each other on that path?
I think one thing, when we're on our pilgrimage, and maybe in the middle of the day, and you're bored, seek out somebody. Fulton Sheen used to say, Lord, send me somebody today to evangelize, to speak with, to share the gospel with. Lord, why not say a simple prayer like that? Lord, send me somebody that I can talk to. And then wait. You will see. Somebody will come along.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be a poor person on the street that comes up to you. I remember a couple of years ago, someone came up to us and wanted a euro for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And one of our employees at EWTN said, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to give you a euro, I'm going to give you €2 for a glass of wine, but you need to say a prayer with us. And he did. He said a prayer. And just that little bit of encounter, that little experience, I remember that. I mean, that was like 4 or 5 years ago, but I've never forgotten it.
That's beautiful.
You know, just little encounters like that. I think in every pilgrimage, if we are open to what the Lord wants to give us, and just keep our eyes open and not down. Maybe so many of us, like, we look at our phones all day long.
Yeah.
And when I walk around Rome, I see all kinds of people, not just young people, but older people looking at their phones.
Yeah.
But we need to look up. I mean, why not on this pilgrimage? Why not simply put the phone away and, just look people in the eyes? When you get on the bus, you get on the metro, when you're going into churches, when you're coming out of churches, why not simply encounter people? I think that's a good word, encounter.
So this pilgrimage really can become a huge opportunity for our lives to recalibrate, to encounter our neighbors, but also encounter Jesus.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing we need to look for in people is Jesus. When we rediscover God, the face of God in Jesus, I think we really begin to look at ourselves differently. I think definitely in my own life, I think when I encountered God, a kind of a renewal of my faith when I was 21, I began to look at life totally different. My whole life changed. When I experienced God's love, personal love for me, my whole life began to change. That can be something in the Jubilee that pilgrims to Rome could experience.
So, Father, set in an espresso cup, what is pilgrimage really?
I think going from one place to another. Eternal life is our destination. That's what hope is, having an anchor in eternal life, but realizing that we need to walk this Jubilee together and not isolated. Pray. Pray during your time here in Rome. Prayer at the beginning of the day, prayer at the middle of the day, prayer at the end of the day. Why not?
Pilgrimage teaches you how to pray. I love that. Thank you for that spiritual espresso.